I was born in Buffalo, New York, but I was raised on the Cattaraugus Indian Reservation. I grew up with my other sister and my mother. She was a single mother. We lived in a shack, kind of. Like, we had to carry water if we wanted water, or cut and stack wood if we wanted to have heat in our house. She was very strict, spiritual and religious. We went to school and we went and practiced our religion, and that was kind of it. She was abusive in the house. It was a very hot and cold relationship. My sister and I felt as though we were walking on eggshells. My mom loved me very much, and she was working with what she knew and what she had. She was a single mother, on the reservation, no job, doing her best with what she knew. My whole childhood, I've been irritable, discontent, and restless. I always wanted to run, always wanted to escape my reality. But I turned 12 and 13 was the first time I drank a beer and smoked a cigarette. And when I drank and smoked weed, I didn't like it, but I liked the feeling. I didn't like the taste or like the smell of it, but I liked the feeling it created within me. Started doing psychedelics when I was 15, 16. And then I got into a relationship with a very toxic individual. And he had already been doing crack and heroin. And at the time, I was paying for his habit, didn't know what it was. He wouldn't tell me, but he would do it in front of me. We got in an argument. I got tired of paying for his whatever this was, and I threatened to stop paying for it if he didn't let me try it. When I tried it, everything went numb. Had always had ADHD, always wanted to do something, but when I first tried heroin, it shut everything down. I didn't hear no more voices in my head, and I felt free. I felt like this one rush through my body, and I felt like I had finally found what I've been looking for. And not knowing anything about heroin, I kept doing it. The relationship between me and him got more toxic, became very abusive. It just became a time where I couldn't get away from him. And I did get away from him, and I became sick. I didn't know what it was. I started to sweat, became very angry, and my whole body, like the withdrawal from what I was experiencing, ran me right back to him, because that's all I knew. The violence that he put on me became too dangerous for me to be around, and I had to escape from the relationship and leave. Whatever I learned from that first relationship, I brought with me into the relationships after. If you didn't have anything for me, I wasn't with you. I didn't care about you. But if you had drugs, if you had money, if you had a place for me to stay, I would use you. I got introduced to methamphetamine through a needle, even a bigger, stronger, intense feeling that rushed right through me. It was very unmanageable and uncontrollable after that. I had no power whatsoever, and I was in all the way in my addiction. I stole from my mom. I hurt my mom so much. My sister, we would physically fight, I didn't see my part in it, I hurt so much, hurt so many people, It wasn't, I didn't care who you were, I didn't care where you're from. I hurt you. The point that I realized I needed help, I didn't see it, my father picked me up on the streets. He had to force me into a car. I tried jumping on the throughway. He had to involuntarily admit me into a psych ward, and he tried so hard to get me into a rehab, and he got me into rehab, and I left. I left and went back to the streets. The money was gone. My bridges were all burned, and I was sitting on this park bench, and I called my father, and I asked him to come get me, and he told me no. And that was like my rock bottom. My father dedicated himself to me for a whole month of trying to help me and get me sober, and I just threw it all down the drain. When he told me no, I felt love. I felt love behind it, and I knew it hurt him. I was all alone on that park bench, and I got up and I admitted myself into a psych ward and went to rehab. I was at a halfway house called the Jennifer House, and the ladies there suggested Doyle for me. You know, I was nervous. I didn't know what I was getting into. It was my first time in recovery, outpatient. And when I got here, Doyle was really welcoming to me. My counselor was very welcoming to me, and she believed in me since day one. She listened to me. She cared for me. You don't even know me, but you're willing to put all this work to believe in me and to support my goals and my dreams. And like, that's what kept me coming back. I felt like I was heard here. It didn't matter what color of my skin was, what I've done in the past, who I was, what I was doing now, but they're always happy to see me. Veronica has helped so much. You know, when I was coming to Doyle, my mom had passed, and I had only had like 7 months of sobriety, and she was so supportive. She'd always like tell me how strong I was and how she's always here for me.
I'm so proud of her. She has come such a long way, and I'm just so proud of her. When I talk about her, I just want to cry because she's just done so much, and I can't even say how proud of her I am.
What I'm living in today, I prayed for when I was sitting alone on that bench. My dad told me no. If you're suffering from addiction, alcoholism, if you have the willingness to change your life for the better, anything is possible. If you can believe in yourself, anything that you pray for right now is going to come to you in tenfold. Doyle has made me feel 1,000 times much more confident in myself. You know, and you don't think anyone's going to be there for you, Doyle will.